I find it funny. Most leadership hires that go wrong could have been avoided. Every wrong leadership hire has a cost to the business. And I don't just mean in terms of recruiter costs, salary, additional benefits, etc., but in terms of momentum, growth velocity, team morale, leadership drain. Because when the wrong person is sat in the seat, every day it is draining the people around them, reducing effectiveness of the team, and creating questions and concerns for the board, investors, the wider leadership organization. And the funny thing is, it could be avoided. Part of the problem, I think, is that most organizations incentivize the wrong things. They prioritize speed over due diligence. There's an interesting video from Harry Stebbings the other day about the speed at which they did a deal. But I think what most people will miss is the intensity that went into the research of the company they invested in. Doing proper research will change the outcomes of your leadership hiring. When you've got the board, investors, other executives breathing down your neck to understand what's happening, where it is, it can feel like you just want to get it done. But that's where the mistakes start. By conducting proper research, yes, in condensed timelines, you're prioritizing the right outcomes rather than just a bum on a seat. And most people will say, well, we can advertise a role. There's a plethora of applicants these days. And it's true. You will have 99% dross applying to your role with no relevant skills and experience. Unless you're a major firm like Facebook or Meta, Amazon, Apple. Most organizations aren't the fastest growing in the market or have the sexy titles and accolades that go with it. They're the businesses that are making real difference, where leadership is the most important aspect. But they prioritize speed over execution and ruthless validation. And that's where these things go wrong. So if you want to avoid those mishires, make sure the research that is being conducted on your behalf is thorough, detailed, and clear in what you're looking for. To steal Simon Sinek's phrase, start with why. Understand, be critical, use the 5 whys framework to understand what is it you're looking for in this. Why are you hiring a particular leader into the business? What are the challenges they might face? What's the culture like? What are the people they're working with? How are they going to interact? You've got to have this holistic view of that. And most leaders I've worked with struggle with that because they're so involved and ingrained in their own work, that own 4 walls that exists around them, that they can't see the wood for the trees. That's where an external party can really help lift the veil, help you to see what's working, what's not working. And research isn't just about finding the right person, the bum on the seat. It's also about providing the firm with unparalleled insights into the ecosystem that you operate in. And what I mean by that is most recruitment firms are incentivized on the outcome, the bum on the seat. They're not trained on how to challenge the leader's thoughts and perspectives on what they're looking at. And this ends up with, well, you're hitting an outcome. You've got the bum on the seat. The person looked good on paper, but there was stuff missed through that process. Once you understand your why, your business, what's going on, then you can start to look at where that individual might come from. Most people will naturally just look to the nearest competitors. Well, they're doing something similar. Maybe they can come in and do that. That's possible. My view is you want to look around the ecosystem. You want to look at customers, competitors, partners, associated industries that have maybe been through similar things. And this is all a data gathering process. And as recruiters, we sit in such a privileged position where people will give unparalleled insights into how decisions were made, who was in the room, what happened, what were the trigger points. And hindsight gives this clarity about it. But when you're in that process, the reality is you're trying to predict what is the right course of action and adapt. So while many say, well, we look at the outcomes, what they've achieved, but it's also about that process that they've been through. Context is everything. Patterns. We look for patterns of people's career trajectory, what they've done, how they've done it. So those two things, those patterns and context, provide real deep insights into what is the best predictor of someone's success in a role. So when you've got your board and investors breathing down your neck, asking where that next hire is coming from, if you're providing them with those deep insights into the ecosystem that you operate in, that will help manage their expectations and understand that you're really valuing what you're doing and valuing the right outcomes, because the right leader can 10x your business. And 10x could be in terms of revenue, it could be growth, expansion to new market, it could be operational efficiency, it could be quality. It comes in many different facets. And good enough is the enemy of great. So by looking for these patterns, not just in people, but in industries, in the evolution that they've gone through, you can start to identify the people that can really move the needle in your organization. So again, when it comes to research, this is one of the most critical processes in the executive search process. It can seem like a dark art. You say, well, ChatGPT can do deep research. Challenge is it hallucinates. You've got to ruthlessly validate what's going on, why that happened. You've got to network. People say, well, I can post a job on LinkedIn, and that's what will find this. But most, still even today, even when we're not seeing the volumes of sort of 21, 22 in leadership hiring, most of these searches are still happening without a public search going on. It's still happening in the background. Whether it's a case of, well, we might need to change a leader, not quite performing as we hope. They were great in the good times, but now the market's more challenging. It's showing that they're not quite right. So it comes back to understanding where you are, what your situation is with the organization, what it is that you're looking for, and then thoroughly, comprehensively researching the market, networking, ruthlessly validating what you're seeing. Hindsight is great, but in reality, the same people were in the same room as you are now, trying to predict, guess what was going to happen. Cross-reference what's going on above the line and below the line. There's a lot of market information, data. The internet is a treasure trove of information. So understanding what's going on in some of these different industries and how they can complement you. We talk about win business. We talk about the voice of the customer. What are customers doing? How are they using our service or technology, hardware, software? It's the same when you're hiring. We want to make sure that we're doing that due diligence as much as possible. Because by identifying the context, the relationships, the feedback, the patterns of someone, you can start to formulate, before you get into an assessment process, what are the key questions to ask? I never subscribe to this idea that there are very generic key qualifying questions that someone needs to ask in every discussion, because it's all about context. I mean, even using AI, we've understood, we're starting to see it's not just about the prompt, the first question. It's about the context. That is critical to understand how to challenge, how to push the boundaries, and make sure that you really understand what's going on behind someone. So this research process, yes, is intense. It's in depth. It's very comprehensive. But if you miss that step, you're just looking for a transaction. And maybe you want a transaction, and that's fine. Just need a bum on a seat. The business will run itself. Systems are already there. But in most cases, particularly to mid to large, not so much in enterprise, mid to large organizations, it is not there. It's still very much about people. And by focusing on the wrong outcome, you miss a crucial step. You don't get the additional benefits that the research phase gives you, the insights, the intel, the market intelligence is incredible. Both what's publicly available and what happens through those conversations with people that you wouldn't even speak to, or really didn't need to. But that's what we're here for. So while some companies are shouting about the brands that they've worked for and so on, and quietly dismissing them after 6 months, you could find the leaders that could have a tangible impact in your business. The ones that make your investors your board trust you more, believe in what you're doing. Because if you lose that, that's incredibly difficult to get back. So by focusing on the right outcomes, proper due diligence process, both internally and externally, combine these things and your mishire rate will go down massively. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about an organization, not just one person. And how that piece fits into the jigsaw puzzle is what will make the difference. If you liked what we talked about today, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn. If you've got any comments or questions about today's topic of research, please let me know. Send me a DM and we'll discuss it. Thank you very much.